Welcome to the Racing Pigeon International Podcast. We talk about everything racing pigeons, the latest news, results, events, and interviews from around the world.
So last weekend I went down to Portugal with my son Zandy for the Algarve Golden Race in Algarve down in Portugal. It was a great weekend. I had a really good weekend. It's the first time I've been on a plane for 4 years. Used to travelling around, but with COVID and everything else, it was the first time I managed to get on a plane. And we got there on the Thursday afternoon. Got checked into the hotel, met up with Maurice O'Donnell on the beach, and then went into Montegordo in the evening, and we met loads of people. We went actually nipped to the basketing to see the basketing for a short while as well, and then went and had something to eat, and then met up with a load of people in the town. And actually walking back to the hotel, Zandy, for those of you who don't know, Zandy is my 19-year-old son. He races pigeons and is pigeon mad, eats, lives and breathes pigeons. And he was walking, when we were walking back to the hotel, he said, "Dad, that was one of the best pigeon days and nights I've ever had in my life." He met with Maurice O'Donnell, he met with Mike Gannis, Peter Fox from Syndicate Lofts, and a bunch of other people. And that made my day that he said that. And then, so that was the Thursday. The Friday, we interviewed Mike Gannis in the afternoon with Maurice O'Donnell. And if you haven't seen that yet, that's gone out as a podcast video on YouTube and on the pigeonworldpodcast.com as well. It was an hour of great talk. Mike and Maurice gave a lot of information, a lot of tips on what they think about One Loft races. They talk about what they look for in One Loft race pigeons. And they also give some tips for people that perhaps haven't got the budget to buy winners of One Loft pigeons, what they should be looking for if they want to get One Loft pigeons. So yeah, we did that interview on Friday, and then Saturday was the big race day. On Friday night we went out for something to eat into Montegordo, and again, met a lot of good people, some really nice people. I mean, the whole of Montegordo pretty much is full of a couple of thousand pigeon people. On the Saturday, we went to the final race day. It's a great event. Lots of things for you to eat and drink while you're sitting around waiting. It was a warm day, a really warm day. It was about 28 degrees. We were sitting under shade. There was a bit of quite a breeze, really, considering that you're surrounded by buildings and lofts. There was still a breeze. It was 28 degrees, and depending on who you spoke to, people thought you were looking at about 8 to 10 hours for the pigeons to return. The pigeons were let up at 7:45, 310 mile, 505 kilometers north in Portugal. When they were let up, it was 12 degrees, but halfway down, the first half of their journey, it was the southeast wind, so it was on their shoulders. Second half of the journey, it was pretty much in their faces, on their noses. It was the south wind. So 8 hours came, nothing. 10 hours came, nothing. And I actually bumped into Frank Nabig from Animals to Fly, and he said, "Have you seen or heard about the earthquakes that had happened?" And he showed me a map where 4 earthquakes had happened, one in Lille in France, 2 in Portugal, one off the coast of the Algarve, and one in Morocco. And that was quite concerning. That perhaps answered what happened later on down the line. 7 o'clock came, 7 p.m, and we hadn't seen a pigeon. That's the first time they've never clocked a pigeon on the day from the final at the Algarve Golden Race. And it was getting dark. and we waited. We were there for about 9 o'clock at night, and clearly nothing was coming home. So we went and got something to eat. It was quite deflating in a way, but it's like I said to Zandy, and Morris said as well, you know, tomorrow's another day, and it's essentially the final again. Zandy said to me he wanted to get up and get there for about 6. We got there at 6:05. I went to get a coffee with the lovely race manager, the Loft manager, and I said to him, "What do you think, my friend? What time do you think?" And he said between 7 and 8 o'clock. And then within a couple of minutes, all we could hear, there was about 10 people there, excluding the Loft staff who had been there all night. There was about 10 other people there, and then all of us heard Zandy shouting, "Pigeon, pigeon." And he was watching the Loft right at the front where you could get up to. And he saw the first pigeon had come back, a German pigeon over the left side of the Loft. And it trapped at 6:15. That was the winner. It was a German pigeon, and it came in. It was still pitch black. It came in. It must have been very, very close the night before to have done what it did. And what a pigeon. You can't take it away from it. It was a hell of a pigeon. It was over an hour later until second and third came in together. And then things started hotting up. People saw more pigeons coming in throughout the morning, as you would expect. It was about, I believe it was about 1 o'clock until 500th place had come in, which is what they pay up to. They amazingly pay, if you come 500th in the race, you still get €300. All in all, it was a hell of a tough race. Simple as that. They haven't had that before. Still now, there's less than half of the pigeons back from the final of the race. That's a tough race, especially for Portugal. Portugal are used to getting the returns back. So that was the Sunday. We came home Sunday evening. Kind of wish we'd have stayed another day actually. So yeah, that was the weekend in the Algarve. It was a great weekend. It was nice to just have some time off, even though I did the interview with Mike, which was a pleasure. Apart from that, it was a time to just enjoy the pigeons and people around us, and it was a really good time. I met some really nice people. I met the Stereo brothers from Wales. They got in they were in the top 50. They did well. We met with Damien Santos. He was a really nice guy as well. He was really pleased to see Zandy as a younger lad involved in the sport, and we had a really good time. Nothing bad to say. Yeah, a very tough race, and still to this day now we didn't get our 2 back from the final, which of course I'm gutted about. Zandy's gutted about as well, but we start and we go again next year. I was saying to a few people down there when we were down there that if you look at if you listen or watch the interview with Mike Gannis and Maurice O'Donnell, One Loft racing is the way forward. Yes, it can be done in different ways, but what I'm very aware of is that it excludes some people, the entry costs. And I was saying to the guys that there's got to be a way of putting syndicates together to be able to where people can just enter into One Loft races for 10 or 20 quid as part of a syndicate. You know, 10, 20, 50 quid and you're in. Yes, of course, you're not going to share as much of the prize money, but you're still in and you got an interest. And you know what? Yes, it was gutting not to get our birds back, but it was an amazing weekend, even though we didn't get any birds back. It was just a really nice weekend, an enjoyable weekend as well. The syndicate thing is something I'm going to be working on over the course of the coming weeks to look what can be done to do that. It's certainly reignited my passion for One Loft races. I've always had a passion, but it kind of reignited a spark there for One Loft races. And there's nothing beats sitting in the sun with friends, having a beer, waiting for pigeons to come home, and somebody's going to win a lot of money. Nothing beats that. If you're a pigeon man, I'm sure you know what a pigeon man or woman, of course. I'm sure you know what I mean. And yeah, always round Algarve. Yeah, always. All of the races in the Algarve had a hard time. That the race the day before had a tough time as well. It was a tough year ultimately. looking forward, looking ahead, like I say, we're going to be putting teams in again with Morris next year. I'm going to be looking to do some syndicates as well. And bring it on forward. Let's go for 2024. So thank you for listening. If you're watching it on YouTube, I've put some pictures of the weekend up there as well. You can listen to this podcast by going to pigeonworldpodcast.com, or you can go to the Pigeon World YouTube channel and watch all of the podcasts and different videos I got up there as well. If you haven't watched the Mike Gannis and Morris O'Donnell interview yet, go and check it out. It's one of the best interviews that I've done. It was really great interview, lots of information there. And we all know Mike Gannis is one of the best and biggest one-off racers around in the world. And he gave some really good information, super nice guy. And I was really pleased that we got to do it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Catch you very soon again.
You've been listening to the RPI Podcast. Check out more episodes at podcast.racingpigeoninternational.com.